Hello everyone, it's Sarah. Welcome back. So today I'm going to do a combined second half of November wrap-up and my December TBR because I did not read very much in the second half of November as I anticipated. If you'll remember my last video, I did end up spending a lot of time playing the new Pokemon games that came out, and so my reading wasn't as much, which is fine. I planned for that. So in my previous wrap-up, I think I read 9 books in the first half of November. I read at least 3 books for Read Kids Lit. I read a few for nonfiction November. In the second half of November, Shakes Along happened, and for this month we read Much Ado About Nothing by William Shakespeare, and this is my favorite play. I love Beatrice and Benedict. I think they are my favorite literary couple, and I think I bumped it up to 5 stars because I really loved it. And I can't remember whether I wrapped that up in the first video or not, so I figured I'd just throw that in there. As for my goals for the end of November, I did not read the 2 books that I wanted to read. I read one of them. I read Flight of Dreams by Ariel Lawhon. I read this book completing one of my Goodreads group challenges, which was to read books where you find the letters A to Z on the book covers in items. So this book obviously has a Zeppelin, so I finished it with Z. Yay! This is a historical fiction novel about the Hindenburg disaster, and it was very slow to get into. I found the different points of view. There are about 4 different points of view in the book, and they were very short, so it was a little hard to kind of get into what all the intrigue that was going on. But it was, by the end, I had tears. It was beautiful and really pulled together quite nicely. At the end of the book, I really appreciated how slow moving it was at the beginning, because it's very slowly you start realizing that everyone on that ship has an agenda and has a backstory and has things going on that, you know, make this flight doomed from the beginning. So I liked it very much. I think I gave it was either 3 or 4 stars. It definitely wasn't a 5-star read, but it was quite enjoyable. Then I got distracted because library books came in. Well, one library book. Turbo 23, which is the newest in the Stephanie Plum mystery series. It's a whole lot of crazy going on. This one was a little less crazy and a little bit more serious, so it was kind of nice to see a little bit more of a serious bent on the books. But I can't believe I'm going to say this. These books need to start changing it up now. I'm getting a little tired of Stephanie and her going back and forth between Morelli and Ranger. Something needs to happen there. Something needs to happen, because I'm starting to not like Stephanie Plum so much anymore, and it's sad. So this book I ended up giving 3 stars. I'm not going to go into the whole plot. This is book 23 in a series. If you know it and you read it, you're going to want to read it. But I got distracted. It didn't take me very long, but you know, had to read that. It was a week-long book. So those 2 books were the only 2 books that I completed in the second half of November. What about this behemoth, you ask? Well, good news. I am on page 140. So I am making good progress with this as far as I'm concerned. I really wanted to finish it, but again, things happen. And I think really what happened was that I like with some of these classics to listen to audiobook and then pick it up, because then I get a little bit more immersed into the story quicker. And I did not like the narrator for this audiobook on LibriVox, and that really made a difference, because this book is not easy to cart around. It's not an easy book to jump into and get out of when you're at work, if you're on your lunch break or something. You need to get into a good chunk, because now it's getting good. So I feel like you need to read at least 100 pages and just sit down and read and get immersed into this book so that you can get into it and want to continue reading it. So that's where I'm at now. I'm also listening to an audiobook The Power of Habit in my car. I'm about 60% done with it, and that's pretty interesting. And here's the story for you. So I am doing a Listopia challenge for one of my Goodreads groups, and I saw that one of the books was A Walk in the Woods, Rediscovering America on the Appalachian Trail by Bill Bryson, which my mother loved. This is kind of the cover of it with the bear. And Bill Bryson is pretty hilarious. So I said, well, that would be a good book to read with this. You know, I can put that on my Kindle, and the Kindle is easier to tote around, and it will accomplish one of my challenges. So I downloaded it, and I read one chapter at work on my phone during lunch and was laughing and laughing. It was really funny. I come home and say, yep, putting this on my Kindle, and my Kindle died. It is dead, people. And that is very sad because I hate to read on backlit screens, and I will not read this book on my phone. Like, it's not, it hurts my eyes, and my eyes get all bleary, and I just can't do it. This is very sad for many reasons. I have a Nook 2, and that's kind of on the fritz. It doesn't hold its charge very well. So I have two e-readers, both of which are, well, one which is completely not working and one which is only partially working. So when it comes down to my TBR, some of the things that I had planned to read were on my Kindle or on my Nook, and I have to change up my plans a bit because until I have the funds to replace those books are just not going to happen, and library books are just, like ebooks, are not going to happen. So I will finish this book on my phone just because it is so funny that I'm really into it, but I had to change things up. So first things first, I will not pick up any new books until this book is finished. So if this takes me all of December to read, then it takes me all of December to read. But I'm not picking up any new books. I can finish The Power of Habit, and I can finish the Bill Bryson book, but I cannot pick up another book. If and when I finish this book, then we have a TBR. For this month, I am supposed to read 3 books set in a place or a country that I would like to visit. I have read most of the books that are set in countries other than the US, so I do not have a whole lot of books to choose from here. So some of this is pulling at straws a little bit. And I mean, some of them are fantasy books that I have on my shelf, and you can't use fantasy books for this. This doesn't make any sense. The first book I have for this challenge is Enchanted Islands by Alison Amend. It is a beautiful cover, and this is, I believe, set in the Galapagos Islands. So hello, yes, I would love to visit that. The next book that I have for this challenge is Razorhurst by Justine Larbelsteer. And I believe this is set in Australia. This I got from a book box a long time ago. So yeah, read your TBR. And this one is kind of the one that I wasn't planning to read because I'm not really sure where it's set. If it's set enough in Rome and Italy or somewhere to really make it worth it, but I have Sudden Death by Alvaro Enrique, and I know it's set somewhere else, and it's also a historical book. You're gonna be reading a lot of historical books. So I have those 3 books that I would like to read. And yes, I do have a lot of books that are set in Great Britain, in Ireland, but I've been to those places, so I kind of wanted to read books that were set in somewhere that I had not been to. So yes, I guess I could always pick up one of my books that are set there, but I really did want to try to go places I hadn't gone before. So those are the 3 books that I have for that. For Goodreads book clubs, there are several books that I'm interested in. One of them is The Birds by Daphne du Maurier. I would have to get this from the library. I have not requested it as of yet because, again, I cannot read anything else until I finish this book, so I'm not going to request anything else. Also is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Of course, I have this one, which, again, I will not be able to lug with me because it's huge and it has several of the books in it, but that's one of the books for book club. And they're also reading Kidnapped by Robert Louis Stevenson, which I have actually way up on my shelf with some of my old books that I have not read. So I may get to some of these, I may not. It's kind of, I don't mind if I don't. Let's just put it that way, but they're there if I want someone to, you know, buddy read or, you know, some more input. I can enjoy the book club aspect of it. So I have those possibly. I was going to participate in the Benchathon challenge, but again, I have not read The Woman in White, so there's no point. I did have a TBR set, but I'm not even going to film it or anything because it's just, I don't have time for that. I think that's all I've got for now, and I will talk to you all later. Bye-bye.